Celtic Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston, Chapter 2, The Religion of the Celts. Pliny on the religion of magic. Magic is one of the few things which it is important to discuss at some length, were it only because, being the most delusive of all the arts, it has everywhere and at all times been the most powerfully credited. Nor need it surprise us that it has obtained so vast an influence, for it has united in itself the three arts which have wielded the most powerful sway over the spirit of man, springing in the first instance from medicine, a fact which no one can doubt, and under the cover of a solicitude for our health, it has glided into the mind and taken the form of another medicine, more holy and more profound. In the second place, bearing the most seductive and flattering promises, it has enlisted the motive of religion, the subject on which, even at this day, mankind is most in the dark. To crown all, it has recourse to the art of astrology, which, at that time, there was no difference between astrology and astronomy. Of course, astronomy proper was one aspect of saying stuff about the stars. And every man is eager to know the future and convinced that this knowledge is most certainly to be obtained from the heavens, thus holding the minds of men enchanted. In this triple bond, it has extended its sway over many nations, and the King of Kings obey it in the East. In the East, doubtless, it was invented in Persia and by Zoroaster. If Pliny means that it was here first codified and organized, he may be right, but the conceptions on which magic rests are practically universal and of immemorial antiquity. Now, the sihr, or evil magic, or the common perception of astrology and that sort of thing actually started with the Yazidi culture, which goes back about 30,000 years. There's no way that Zoroaster really goes back. Some people say it's over 8,000 years. That's possible. It's at least, 3,700 years, but certainly the 30,000-year-old Yazidi culture is a much older thing. All the authorities agree in this. But there has not been more than one Zoroaster. Well, Zoroaster, part of the problem is we have the Magian, the Achaemenid, and I think that's it. You have those revivals and the personification, and if the Magian revival into Avestan, codified, that tradition in Avestan. Well, that's another point. But anyways, there's probably one and then two revivals, so three. I've noticed that in ancient times, and indeed almost always, one finds men seeking in this science the climax of literary glory. At least Pythagoras, Empedocles, Democritus, and Plato crossed the seas, exiles in truth, rather than travelers, to instruct themselves in this, or returning to their native land, they vaunted the claims of magic and maintained its secret doctrine. In the Latin nations there are early traces of it, as for instance in our laws of the 12 tables and other monuments I have said in a former book. In fact, it was not until the year 657 after the foundation of Rome, under the consulate of Cornelius Lentulus Crassus, that it was forbidden by a senatus consultum to sacrifice human beings, a fact which proves that up to this date these horrible sacrifices were made. The Gauls have been captivated by it. Well, it doesn't prove it. It proves that there were rumors at the very least, but there's other proof. And that even down to our own times, for it was the Emperor Tiberius who suppressed the Druids and all the herd of prophets and medicine men. But what is the use of launching prohibitions against an art which has thus traversed the ocean and penetrated even to the confines of nature? Historical narrations 30? Oh, History of Nations 30. Okay. Pliny adds that the first person whom he can ascertain to have written on the subject was Osthanas, who accompanied Xerxes in his war against the Greeks, and who propagated the germs of his monstrous art wherever he went in Europe. Magic was not, so Pliny believed, indigenous either in Greece or in Italy, but was so much at home in Bretagne and conducted with such elaborate ritual that, Pliny says, it would almost seem as if it was they who had taught it to the Persians and not the Persians to them. Again, they're narrowing down the term magic, but so let's see. The laws of the 12 tables, adopted 451 BCE. Livy entitles them the foundation of all public and private right. They stood in the Fortum till the 3rd century of the Common Era, but now have perished, except for fragments preserved in various commentaries.